Let me introduce our two presenters today. First, we have Christian Balchode, the owner and operator of Cartovia. Many of you know this as Map Company here in the U.S. in the past, and Christian will give a brief introduction to his new brand and new site. And then we have Mandy Singh, who is the CEO and founder of NextByte Technologies. Mandy works with a lot of map companies in our industry, working on website and e-commerce solutions. So we thank you both for presenting here today. The focus today was going to be on e-commerce, website traffic, search engine optimization in the new age of AI. So we look forward to learning some things from you today. And Christian, I'll turn it over to you. Take it away.
Thank you, Bridger. Let me share my screen. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, looks good.
Okay, perfect. So thanks. Hi everyone. Thanks for having me. So I'm Christian, founder of Cartovia. We sell printed maps and travel guides, physical products in the digital world. In France, we were known as La Compagnie des Cartes, and as Bridger said, internationally as Maps Company. Right now, we are bringing everything together under one single brand, Cartovia, which means that, and the reason why is that we had two brands and this was quite difficult to manage. And we were seeing that we had a big number of sales coming actually outside of France, where we originated from. So that explains why most of our data comes from France and Europe, simply because currently it's still our biggest market. But the trends we see are very similar in the US, Canada, and UK. So about today, sometimes we get the impression that it's tough for an independent store to thrive next to Amazon. But when we look at own data, we see something different. We are still growing, and most of our sales don't come from marketplaces in general, actually. They come from systems that we control. And SEO is the foundation of that. It brings people who really are looking for us and keeps growing over time. So that's exactly what I want to talk about today. So here's how we'll spend the next 15 minutes. Also, first, why independent e-commerce still works beyond marketplaces. Then we look at where growth actually comes from. And I'll use real traffic and order data from Cartovia. I'll share some screenshots from my store, from the back end. After that, I'll cover briefly like what SEO means in 2026, and I share a couple of common mistakes I think that can quietly kill our traffic and that have to be addressed. And finally, I share a simple weekly and monthly checklist that could be applied right away. And by the way, I said to Donna that the presentation can be shared after the meeting, so you can use it after that. No need to take screenshots. So Amazon is huge, of course, but something is important. People don't shop only on Amazon. They discover products on Google, they read reviews, they follow brands. 80% of shoppers use marketplaces, most of the time Amazon, but it means 80% of shoppers at least sometimes use Amazon, and 57% shop directly from brand websites, at least sometimes, which means many people do both, and that's the key insight here. Yeah, that's many people do both. Don't go at only one single place. And I took another angle just to see that, is that when we look at the platforms, the technical platforms, you can see that Amazon achieves approximately 37, well, that's 30 to 40% of global sales in dollars. But Shopify, WooCommerce, which are the two main technical platforms available currently on the market, they achieve 50%. So almost half of global e-commerce is made actually outside of those huge platforms. So independent stores are not actually all put together small at all. A lot happens on brand on websites. And when you look at where traffic actually comes from, it's even more interesting. So first of all, so it's about traffic of independent stores, and it's surprisingly diversified. And we can categorize traffic sources like that. Like first one is direct. Direct traffic is brand and loyalty, people who know you. Organic is SEO. It brings intent. It's the long-term engine of sales. And long-term engine, just like brand, actually. Email drives repeat customers, and it's quite often the biggest, the highest value per visitor. Referrals, that brings trust. And of course, paid. Social or search, Google Ads, it accelerates. But in my opinion, it's not a foundation. It's just something that helps you accelerate. So each channel plays a different role. And if you have a look at e-commerce overall, and actually when I did this research, I was surprised by those numbers the first time, because direct traffic is pretty important. So direct traffic, brand, bookmarks, loyalty, and organic search are often the biggest sources. It's almost 50%. And SEO organic really is the main long-term engine because it captures people that have a clear intent. One more about email. It looks small on paper, but it's often, and it's still the highest value channel. Like those visitors convert more and buy more. And paid, well, quick wins, but it's really stable in the long term. And what I did is that I extracted some data from my own store. So this is data from Cartovia. And I realized that for us, it's even like, so that's data for the last 1 million sessions we had on our store. Again, it's mostly France and Europe and a little bit UK and Canada and US, but mostly France and Europe. The last 1 million session is maybe about 6 months or so. And as you can see, like organic traffic, SEO, it is a lot, but direct is quite a lot as well. I mean, not a brand that is that well known, but direct traffic is very important for us. Oh, I forgot to say in this introduction that what we achieve annually is about 30,000 orders a year. And we ship about maybe 60, 70,000 maps a year to our customers. So that's where all these orders come from. You will know that email is pretty small here, so it contradicts what I said just before. It's just because actually I started newsletters and having a real email strategy just a couple of months ago, but it's going actually great. I should have done that earlier actually. So every customer journey, I think it's the whole point of what I want to say today, is that every customer journey is different. There is no single path. By the way, this only works because we can understand that and we can enhance that only because we track everything, like UTM tags, referrals, proper analytics. If you don't track where your traffic is coming from, you're blind. So before optimizing anything, the very first thing you should do, if it's not done already, make sure your tracking is clean. And now what I will do is that we share some real orders from our backend, just to explain my point, which is, saying there's no one single path and every user, their customer journey is different. So here we go. I have maybe 8 or 9 screenshots. It will be quick. And by the way, this isn't cherry-pick data. All those screenshots I'm showing you, they are from a small sample of orders placed almost on the same day. Of course, I didn't do just copy consecutive orders because I would have a lot of this one, orders coming from Google. But what you will see is just a normal day for us. And what I love about this view, it's kind of messy. So here you have this typical customer. He came from Google. He searched for us, came from Google. We have this other one, which is interesting. Remember earlier I mentioned brand, direct, all that. Well, actually, this thing here shows that my customer was looking for a brand, Cartovia, which again, remember, it's a new brand, but he was looking for a brand, and he found us. He clicked on a paid ad. Because and that's something everybody has to do. You have to pay for ads on your own brand. That's the first and maybe only advice I would give about SEA and pay ads. Advertise on your own brand. And I have every day a couple of orders that come from my paid ads on my brand. And yeah, here it is. It started September last year. ChatGPT. And since then, there hasn't been a single day without sales that come from LLMs. And in France, there is this LLM called Mistral, and we have sales coming from LLMs every day. And it started like in September. It's continuing. So it will illustrate what Manny has to say right after. But it's very true that it's getting more and more important. That order is interesting because this customer landed directly on our website. So bookmark, typed our address, and guess what? He's a repeat customer. He already made three purchases in our store. But sometimes you have repeat customers that actually Google to find you. So even if you have loyalty programs and all that, some users you will have to fight for your brand even in Google, and more importantly, customers can change quickly their habits, so they will restart again their search and not necessarily come back to you if they used to make purchases in your store. Of course, you shouldn't forget that that SEO and organic traffic, it's not only Google. Like you have Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, Ecosia. The others still matter. For us, in our case, 15% of our organic sales do not come from Google. They come from other search engines. And maybe, I wanted to share another one. That one is coming from DuckDuckGo. And by the way, repeat customer as well, 5 orders. And the last one, customer coming from a newsletter, and repeat customer again, like to build loyalty. Newsletter is a fantastic tool. And the last screenshot, that one is interesting. It's not about Bing. It's about the channel Bing Shopping. You have also Google Shopping. User will find us also on shopping listing in search engines. It's not only about the regular search, but it's also SEO. So that's my take. That's what was very interesting to share with you. So when I stay back and look at all of this, and I see already 12 minutes. I knew it. I realized that there isn't one magic channel. Like every channel matters. SEO, brand, email, partnership, paid. Everything plays a different role. Some bring discovery, some build trust, some drive repeat sales. And again, that's exactly why tracking is so important. Like if you don't measure it, you're lost. I'll try to go a little bit faster right now. So what about search in 2026? So it feels harder because more ads, more features, AI answers, fewer clicks sometimes, which I already experienced, but conversion rate is higher. so fewer clicks doesn't really matter so far. But what's interesting is that Google's advice hasn't really changed. The fundamentals still win, still there. There is no secret AI trick, just fewer margins or others. And I love this quote from the Search Engine Journal I read a couple of weeks ago. AI hasn't changed the pressure, has changed the pressure, not the fundamentals. And I think it's very true. So no panic. So I listed 5 common mistakes sometimes we do, or something we just overlook very quickly. Duplicate content when you have same content in different places on the website. Solve this. This is an issue. It hurts your ranking. Cannibalization is another issue. Pages may not be similar, but they may address the same need. You should not have that. You should do your best to have one page deal with one user intent and not multiple pages dealing with the same user intent. Thin content, very different from short content. Thin content is just content that has not value to the user. For example, things of big listing and category or collection pages. It's most of the time it's useless unless you add more context. EEAT, I would say out of the 5-1, that's the one that is more important. Google wants to see real businesses, and I know in this audience there are a lot of publishers, experts by definition, and make sure Google knows it. So reviews, press, credentials, real people, real interviews, blog posts, like trust signals matter more every year. And it's even more true at the age of AI. And the last one you always need to have an eye on is your technical depth. That's very important. That's less important than some people say, but it's still pretty important, and it can be pretty intimidating. Good news is Google gives us tools, a lot of free tools that enable us to monitor that very precisely, and you know exactly what you have to solve when you use those tools. I shared a screenshot of actually what's currently on my store. As you can see, I don't do everything great. I still have one metric, but it's pretty close to the green zone. As you can see, I make efforts, so it's a metric called LCP anyway. But that's the only thing is I want to say here is that you can monitor it with free tools, and it should be done. So as I said earlier in the presentation, like I prepared 2 checklists. I'm almost at the end of it. One weekly checklist, it has to be simple. This is not about big redesigns or website overhaul or hacks. It's small, regular habits. Every week, just check what's working, fix broken leaks, and try to improve one. Pick one important page and try to improve it. That's what you have to do weekly. And monthly, well, you have a little bit more work to do. You have to, clean, duplicate, fix cannibalization, improve speed, and all that. Most importantly, the last item, work on your email list, grow it, and try to find partners to get backlinks and to get quotation citations. And I think that's it. So yeah, my conclusion is that independent e-commerce can absolutely thrive. We have great tools. We have a lot of channels, great channels, and there's a strong ecosystem. So if we focus on the basics and improve a little every week and every month, growth comes naturally. That's it.
Thank you, Christian. That's an excellent presentation. I really like the idea of the weekly and monthly checklists. I had a quick question come in. Are there any key elements to email campaigns that you're finding? For example, do they work better if they're focused on a specific product, category, or what's your experience in that?
Excellent question. Actually, in our area, what I would avoid at all costs is cost price promotions. Too much advertising. Like I think in our area, our customers, our users want to hear about stories. And I would give another advice is that I think people like to kind of connect with who's behind the newsletter. Who are the entrepreneurs? What's our personal journey? What motivates us to do what we are doing? I try to connect my newsletter to a blog post on our website, and I get a lot of private comments on our support email that people react a lot because I try to take a kind of a personal tone. So not too much advertising promotion. Talk about the subject, the user, the broad user intent, and yeah, we can make it personal.
Thank you. We had another question come in from Carl Thomas asking why you chose to use Shopify and how do you manage the data product by product or externally, and then you import it in.
Well, actually, I was at first in another platform called PrestaShop, and then I moved to WooCommerce, and then I moved to Shopify. And why I moved to Shopify? Just because I realized with WooCommerce and PrestaShop that too much of my time was technical maintenance. And I think that I had to focus on my core business, which is not to tweak code and maintain servers and all that. I have to focus on what my customers want. Product information and marketing, and I see Shopify enables that. I moved to Shopify 6 years ago, and I never looked back. I'm kind of a geek. I love to try new stuff and all that, but Shopify so far it's a win. I love the platform. And regarding the other part of the question, how do I manage product? Actually, I have a lot of products. I have 20K and growing products. So it's a mix of actually Google Sheets and import app and synchronization app that allow me to take the data I have in Google Sheets in Shopify, and that goes in out in both ways.
Thank you, Christian. I've heard good things about the Shopify experience after moving from WooCommerce, and I noticed that they were 25% split. I imagine Shopify is on the way up to a higher share.
Yeah. It's well deserved, I think.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Manny, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you. Bear with us while we get the screen share going, everyone. But this is Manny Singh, CEO of NextByte Technologies. Take it away, Manny.
All right, hope this connects. Can you see my screen?
Looks good. Sounds good.
Right. Thank you very much. So thank you, Christian. That was a good insight into what goes inside a store and sharing the details and actually softening this a bit for me and preparing the audience. Hi, everyone. I'm Manish Singh. I'm based in New Delhi, and I run NextByte Technologies, which essentially works for map companies managing their e-commerce platforms and long-term maintenance and ongoing upgrades. Today, what I wanted to talk about is something what has been changing in the last 2 years. I personally have been involved in SEO and running map portals since 2000, and as it happened, started NextByte. We've been working with this. So SEO has been very close to how we've seen the world change for the internet. And what we are seeing in last 6 months, and it's changing so fast, is what the AI has done to the search, and how do we understand that, and then how do we take action on what we see. So the most important thing, and I'm sure everybody heard about the Claude Coworker release day before yesterday, and there's a lot of noise of all these things happening. But as business owners, it's important to us for us to understand what is structural and how do we kind of get the signal from this noise. If you look back in like 10, 15 years or 20 years of Google, since year 2000 when they started. The SRPs have been changing. Every few years they would come up with a new thing, and then you would have less clicks coming to your website. The rankings change, but there are more and more applications coming on top, which is actually taking traffic to Google. So that's one of the things. The other thing is, yes, yeah, it sounds like a bubble, but I think bubbles are good because they reshape the industry. I mean, consider the dot-com bubble, and then the whole internet boom happened after that. Uh, so AI is changing the organic search, and how do we use LLMs or the technology that is available today to adapt to this change? And one thing I'd like to clarify at the beginning here is when I say AI and LLMs, these are two different terms. So by AI, I would mean the search systems, that how these engines are using AI to interpret sites and rankings. And LLMs are the tools what we use basically, like our ChatGPT and Claude or Gemini or whatever you use. So what's going on in search and in AI? And as I said, traditional results have changed. There have been more SERP features coming up, and recently, for last 1 year, we are seeing AI overviews. And there's a lot happening in the search engine before the user actually comes to your site. So there is a classification that is happening before they choose you. And the only difference what we see this time around is the changes are happening way faster than they've happened in the past. And that's because of the AI technology that these been using. There's one example I always quote. I was in 2007 when I used to work for mapsofindia.com. I was at Googleplex in office, and we were talking to them about a deal of selling the geolocation data of businesses in India for their local search. And at that time, the mapsofindia.com was a site that I used to run, and you type any keyword with map in India, and we get the first result, and there was nothing else. So and they offered that we won't pay you, but we'll get your result on top by putting a map and a link there. And I said, no, that's not good enough. And then they did that after 15, 20 days when that deal didn't happen. And suddenly our result from, above the fold, number one result, which still remained number one, but then there's something came on top of it, which actually killed 25% traffic in a day. So they have repeatedly done this, and it's still going on, and I'm sure it's keep going on in the future as well. But as I said, what is important to notice is the pace of change, and how do we keep in line with that change is more important now. And they're not just influencing the. It's not about rankings. It's actually they're qualifying you or your website before they are displaying you on the search results. Just some data, and of Google is still 90% of the search traffic worldwide, but it's coming down. I mean, it's for the first time I read a news report where the first time it has come down below 90% in some areas. But what's more significant in the last 1 year, and I'm sure a lot of you would have seen it on your websites, that even if you rank on 1, 2, 3, the click-through rates are dropping. And of course, one of this AI overview position, because that comes on top of searches now. For almost 70% of the searches, you see AI overviews. Now, how this is impacting the websites, and most specifically the mapping websites. And as Christian said, a lot of products are competing with each other within the website. I mean, in older days, it was good to have a lot of products, and you throw them to Google, and it'll index everything, and they would start ranking on different keywords, and they would. So, for instance, you may have 20 different word maps, and they would be from 5 different publishers, and they all are word maps, but they all have different attributes. But however, search is looking at as a word map. Now these pages have started to compete with each other because of the intent signals that our content is sending to the search engine. Uh, as I said, rankings are no longer, they don't guarantee clicks. So even if you are ranking and traditionally the clicks are dropping, and the search engines are qualifying the sites before somebody gets to your page. And again, EEAT, which is experience, expertise, authority, and trust, and that's a Google term. They've been talking about it for the past few years, but now it's really coming into picture. And one mistake I saw a lot of people doing, and even we made it, that we started looking at EEAT on page level. But now with the new tools available, we are seeing that the results are happening when you're solving the problem at the site level and not at the page level. How do you do that? I'll just quickly, do that example at the end. Uh, so, and this is one slide which is a bit confusing because entities is a word which has come into play quite a lot, and the AI engines, and not just the Google search engine, but also the AI LLMs and their crawlers are looking at entities in identifying your website and your business. So that's the most critical part. Then the use cases that, what is this for? And then, the pages are getting divided as these are my pages that explain what we do, and these are the pages that sell. And that's how you build the expertise and authority in coming up on top of results on some of these. And then product pages are basically variants of all of this. So, and this is one fundamental shift that we are seeing. Uh, if you recall, in the older days, and that's how Google started, was a concept of PageRank, and somewhere now, last few years, that PageRank concept is not valid anymore. Of course, it was abused a lot by a lot of people doing those link farms and whatnot. Uh, but entities are in a way now more important in kind of ranking, and not just, as I said, not just with search engines, but also with the LLMs, bots, and for your results to start showing up on AI overviews and in chat GPTs and in cloud searches. What are entities? This presentation and this slide cannot explain that. It took me weeks to get my head around it. But in theory, they say it's the real world concept. But just to explain, so these are the terms that the AI systems are using, and they are in their database where they identify a website or a word or anything. For instance, if I say a dog, then they have related entities which they understand that a dog barks, a dog is an animal. So those kind of attributes come with these entities. So there are these group of 5, 6 main entities, and then everything is built around that, and that's how they categorize your website. For our business, product types, brand use cases are some different entities. Uh, in the past, sometimes it has happened that when people talk about entities, they started talking about hub pages, that, oh, let's create these pages and explaining what do we do, or explaining these variants, or explaining the cartography styles, and that entities are not new pages. Entities is basically whatever is on your content through your website. And because the AI systems can process very large data, that's the signal that they are catching. And that's what basically making the rankings come in the AI overviews, in the LLM bots and others. And again, they are not categories. They are not, new content pages. In some cases, yes, you may still need to add some content, but essentially it is tuning the entire content base that you have on your website, but not kind of rewriting everything. Again, that's very important. And then product are variations of these groupings. So, and the focus needs to be defining the page rules. Like, and we work with some websites where the products are more than 100,000 products on the site, and then, but they're all on the search engine in the same way. But there is a need to classify that these are my pages that are there to explain, and they should be getting more traffic. And these are my, supportive pages, which would make the sale happen when somebody is on the site. And that's why, when too many pages try to define the same buying decision. And as Christian also said, you can call it canonical, you can call it duplicate content, and it's multiple pages targeting for the same intent. Uh, Long tail keywords used to work for it, and it still works, but you have to be very careful with large data sets, that how do you update and maintain that metadata that is unique for every uh, product or every page, and giving a different intent for that. So in this, in some cases, because no single page is clearly explaining the choices, the pages start competing with each other instead of reinforcing each other. That if I would say, I got a site and this has got like 200 word maps, but then every page, every word map page is competing on word map, and also my category index page is competing on my word. Oh, and on my homepage probably is also competing on that. So that is where this classification becomes important. And when you review the website in terms of entities and roles, then you actually see this problem. And I have a very good example at the end. I'll quickly go through that as we reach there. So this is a simple diagnostic. We started looking at that when you look at and think of your website, think of a category on your website, and imagine if you were to remove 80% of the products, not remove, but not indexed, not crawled, or would they change? Would that still explain to the customer that how they choose the product? If the answer is yes, then I think then your site is still giving that messaging in a good way to the search engines or the AI bots. But if the answer is no, and then no, maybe now all of my products are not here, and all the messaging is not going out, then you need to look at your entity base with more clarity. In fact, I suggest everybody should do that. So what can we do about it? One, of course, you can ask us to help you, but uh, what is good is this democratization of technology that has happened now. Everybody's a programmer, everybody's an analyst. So you can use these tools uh, now to analyze very large catalogs as a whole. I mean, you don't have to go by category. You don't have to go by, okay, I'll do 100 URLs today. You can do analysis of a very large data set using these LLM, simple chatbots that you're using. You can detect where overlaps are. They're very good in language understanding, where they're competing with each other, where the intent is not getting clear through your meta title, meta descriptions. And then you can prioritize and draw a workflow for the team that, what matters to be fixed, on a weekly or a monthly basis. And these are some of the few parts to this where I say you can use the LLM tools to help you analyze your data. So your catalog structure and page roles. Uh, this is something that you can use. You can use Screaming Frog crawl or any crawl that you're using with for your URL base, and then you can ask the LLM to identify which are my explain pages and which are my sell pages. Entity and use case usage coverage. So Google has this natural language platform where you can try the demo, which is you can copy paste content and get information, but then they have an API that you can connect, and it can actually read through all your data of your website and give you entities as Google AI engine sees it. They can help you in finding overlapping intent with your metadata. And of course, GA4, since it came, the whole word changed because it was so hard to understand what they're doing. But now we can just throw screenshots or large CSV files to it and ask questions, and you get better answers from an LLM tool than instead of entering it on your own. So this is the example I was talking about. This is a screenshot that I took from the Google Natural Language page, where I picked one page again, and I'm you should do this for the whole website, but I thought this is a good example to show. So this is IMIA's About Us page, and the what you see is the highlighted ones are entities, and these entities are defined. You see the blue ones are which Google sees or any AI system sees as organizations, places to work. The ones in red are people and who they are, like members, colleagues, leaders, customers. Mind you, these are not keywords, and we must not start building on this. And then orange ones are conferences, meetups. So these are events. And then there's one word and products. When you look at the whole of this, again, manually it's very difficult to make a summary of this, but then you can throw it to, and they have Gemini connected with it, which actually would give you an answer, which I found from there, that Google interprets IMIA as a business-driven industry-wide organization. Beautiful. This is what this page is meant to be. It is doing that. And once you do it for site-wide, it becomes even more interesting to see how your site is being visualized by the search engines and AI bots. So the last, I would say, where they help and where they don't. So, and I'm sure all of us have been through that, and that word which has become very popular now is hallucination. Uh, so yes, they need context. You cannot start with, I mean, yes, we do, but it's not like Google search. So ad hoc prompts don't lead you very far. You need to kind of structure. We actually maintain a directory of prompts now, where there are prompts built in for everything. And these are the things that are basically becoming building blocks for the agents that we are working on, to not to repeat the process. Uh, so prompts are very important, and you need to give them clear context. Along with it, give them a specific data set, give it a specific list of questions, and define boundaries. Otherwise, again, it can go anywhere, and start answering things and they make you feel very happy, because every time you say something, say, "Oh yeah, you are right." So you have to be very careful of that, and define boundaries. But what they're very good at surfacing patterns in your data, in whether it is your server log data, whether it is your analytics, whether it is your customer database, uh, and based on that interpretation, because of your experience of running the business, you can interpret it better and do it. I mean, it was possible earlier, but you would pay a lot of money and a lot of time in doing those things. So I think that's where this becomes very, very helpful. And of course, shallow use leads to hallucination and false confidence. Like I said, they will keep saying, "Yeah, you're right," to everything. So in the end, yeah, where it is moving, it's we need to define for SEO, especially in 2026, as defining improved structured workflows, and then we eventually getting to more agent-based approaches, because you can do it every quarter, but doing it manually every time would become very difficult, and there would be various different results that you'd get out of it. So yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much. And if anyone has questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Manny. Great presentation. We had a question come through the chat from Valerie Hughes. Can you give some examples of your prompt templates?
Yeah, so prompt template essentially look at, one is context, that's the first thing. What are you trying to do? One is role. What do you want the LLM to be? I mean, you can ask him, think like, in this case, a senior search engine analyst, where you have experience on the Google EEAT. Read this document, which you can give the document of the Google guidelines on optimizing website. And then you define the boundaries that, I don't want you to go into these websites or these kind of, like go to Wikipedia or go to these websites. So you can define boundaries in your prompt, and then define what is the output you want. In what form you want. You want like a long, or you want question answers. So essentially the prompts has this structure of 5, 6 different questions that you put in, and then put in your relevant information in that. So yeah, it's very interesting, and thanks for this question. I mean, that's the key part where you start with.
Thank you, Manny.